I had a background in musical theater in like high school and college, but and then a little bit after college, I did some acting work, but not the kind of like work that you would think of like, oh, he's going to be a big actor. Um, but I always enjoyed the theater, but I didn't have that kind of passion to follow it in the way that like people fight for it. You know, I think being an actor, especially in New York, is so hard. There's always the next audition, there's always so much competition. It's always such a struggle, and I didn't have that kind of fight in me for it. I always liked performing, and if someone was like doing the kind of, hey, let's put on a show, like backyard, grassroots kind of, throw together a show thing, then I would be happy to be part of it. But I just couldn't struggle for it like the people who are actors now. So drag was kind of, I'd always been fascinated by drag. I remember RuPaul had a talk show on VH1 when I was in high school, and I thought that was the most amazing thing. I was fascinated by RuPaul. Um, and I always sort of toyed with the idea of doing drag. I just never did. Until I was, I don't know, I was probably already in my 30s when I finally picked it up for the first time. Not counting once in college. I did go to an amateur night in college at a local gay bar in Minneapolis, but I don't even. I guess I was technically in drag, but it was really just like a little bit of lipstick and mascara and a friend's like t-shirt or something and like her like yoga pants. It was not really a drag outfit. It had a feather boa involved. I guess that counts as drag. I found out that one of the only things I care about is doing drag. I love doing drag so much. I found like a weird passion for it. You know, I like sitting at home and practicing my makeup. I like rummaging through the thrift store racks and finding something that looks good. I like going to an amateur night and lip syncing a song. I like all of it. The thing that started it was actually the name. I mean, I'd always been thinking about doing drag, but I was sitting in Central Park with a group of friends, and we were discussing, like, it's fun to sit around and, like, come up with fun drag names. And so we were just, like, bullshitting, and someone out loud, I like to think that it was me, but I can't actually promise that it wasn't someone else's idea, but someone said Ariel Italic out loud. And as soon as it was said, I was like, oh, that's the one. Like, I knew that I had to be her. Like, it was no longer the kind of thing that was theoretical. Like, I had to become Ariel Italic. I watched Manila Luzon's makeup tutorial, which is still like so much the basis of how I do my makeup. It's a lot based on what she did in that tutorial. Um, my first one was oh god, it was a bad first run. I looked like crap. But I got better and better. But it was all through just staying at home and watching YouTube and figuring it out. So I guess Manila is like a actually I would say Manila Luzon is a big inspiration in general. I loved what she did on her season of Drag Race and on All Stars. I think that she has a really wonderful blend of fashion and humor, and like there's a real camp sensibility to what she does, but she's still very chic and very fashionable, and she like her face is on point. That paint is amazing. My first gigs were all through friends because I know a lot of weirdo nightlife people, and so people were doing variety shows and doing burlesque shows and doing like film presentations, and wherever there was an opportunity for someone to perform, I would, sort of dig in. And a lot of people were really good about offering proactively, like, hey, I know you're trying to do the drag thing. Do you want to show up for this blank? And I would say yes and show. I mean, like, at times people would even push. Like, I am doing this. Ariel Italic is going to show up. Come on, this would be good for you. Like, they knew better than I did that, like, it's time to get your ass out there. Um, but I was never really confident about it until the Reddit competition. One of my friends emailed me this link. Reddit is doing the Lip Sync for Your Life competition, which was this sort of online, I guess, mimicking of RuPaul's Drag Race, minus the actual drag aspect. You didn't have to be in drag. They were just, looking for people to make YouTube videos and lip sync songs. But I thought, you know what? I'm practicing my drag anyway, so I'm gonna sign up for this and I will do it as Ariel Italic.
Hello, darlings. It is I, Miss Ariel Italic, your host of Season 2 of Reddit's Lip Sync for Your Life competition.
And so I signed up and I spent all summer making lip sync videos, one a week. And everyone got eliminated one by one every week. And there were a couple weeks where I was sure that I would be gone, but I never was gone. And then I won, and I thought, well, if I can do that, then I should do this. And like people, like the response was great. People loved me and loved what I was doing, and there was such a support, and it was so amazing to me that I had this like, I mean, they were like, I say fan base as if there were like people. It was like, you know, a small group, but still a fan base. You know, it was nice. People were really impressed with what I was doing, and I had so much fun doing it. And I was like, okay, so this is for me. This is a thing that I can do.
Get dressed, get sinking, get sickening. I want to see only the best from my top 12.
I think there's like a generic drag queen ideal that a lot of people have in mind, in the same way that like there used to be a way that every gay man was supposed to act like Jack on Will and Grace. Now there is a sort of like way that I'm supposed to be that, you know, sassy, snapping, hey girl lady. And to a certain extent, I can be that and am that at different times, but I think that there's, I don't know, there's a slight expectation put upon me, and I try not to let that get involved with how I actually act. I mean, I would love it if I could get on RuPaul's Drag Race or similar, and build up my name to the point where even if I have to win Drag Race, that'd be nice, but let's be real. I did just get started. But to have enough of a name that I could get a real booking fee when I do drag and have that be my job. And I realize that that's just not a thing that happens much. Like, no one is a drag queen full time. But that'd be lovely. That'd be a chance to really do this. Though I would be the most pizza-faced man in the world if that were to happen, because already I am breaking out, like, new levels, like ways that I did not when I was a teenager. And that's just something that I'm going to have to deal with. I thought when I was in 8th grade that I would grow up and be a famous actor. I did. I just thought that in my heart. And then in college, I started writing, and I was a playwright for a little while. Then I worked at a coffee shop. I had a corporate job as a writer for an HR firm. I ended up in Minneapolis for years, who knows how. I ended up here in New York. I never thought I would be doing drag in the first place. And then here I am. Like, I think that I would look like the saddest, like, dumpster pageant lady that you ever did see. And just like I'm not cool enough for the Brooklyn crowd, I'm probably not sparkly enough for the pageant crowd. Maybe one day, who knows? I mean, I'm not going to rule anything out, but at this point, I'm just sort of, I have one wheelhouse of like going to little parties and lip syncing my little songs. And that seems to be working out okay. I mean, I knew that I was gay as soon as I had feelings of sexually at all. Like, that was super clear to me. But I also knew that I wasn't supposed to be gay. I knew that that wasn't what everyone else was, or what most people were. So I kept that quiet for a long time. And then in high school, there was a gay-straight alliance. And all of my friends... This is gel or powder? All of my friends went to gay-straight alliance meetings because they were supportive young liberal teens in a liberal little town. And I thought, well, I can go to gay-straight alliance meetings as a heterosexual, an avowed heterosexual going to gay-straight alliance meetings. But my parents saw right through that one, because they had suspected for a while that their child, who loved musicals and hated sports might not be a strapping young football player after all. Um, and so my parents essentially came out to me, or forced me to come out to them. They sat me down, they're like, "We know that you have something to tell us." They were. They got okay with it. It took them a little while. Um, but they came around because in the end it was, I was gay whether they liked it or not. So they sort of got used to the idea. But they were initially pretty upset about it. But, I try not to hold a grudge. It took me a while to get used to being gay, so I can imagine that it took them a little minute too. That happens. In terms of coming out as a drag queen, um, last Thanksgiving, I went to my cousin's house in Massachusetts, and my aunts and cousins and grandma were all there, and somehow the YouTube competition came up because I'm friends with my Aunt Marilyn on Facebook, so I think she had actually already seen some of my pictures or videos or something. And so on a whim, I was just sort of like, you know what, I'm just gonna tell them. And I just like told everyone, like, oh yeah, I do these drag videos on YouTube, and they all wanted to see them. And so my family all sat down and watched me dressed as a lady making out with a sock puppet, and they all thought it was wonderful. Like, all of them. My grandmother, who's what, 93, was just very impressed and told me that I should be on TV. It was a really like supportive, life affirming moment where everyone was just totally okay with it. Honestly, I think that my look is limited by my makeup skills. So I have a signature look in the sense that I only know how to paint one face. It is a lot Bernadette Peters-ish. That's why. Oh god, let me hide that. That's why I got it actually. So, I guess we can call that a signature. That sounds nicer than I don't know what I'm doing, which is kind of half of it. There's only one me and there's only one them, and there's no reason why. I mean, there's not some like critical mass at which we no longer need drag queens. I think it'll be fine. I don't think that there's any reason for anyone to be afraid of me or for me to be afraid of them.